The orbital station Artemis hung in space like a delicate metal flower, Earth's blue sphere visible through the viewing ports. Commander Park moved with practiced ease through the command center, nodding to her crew as status reports flowed in from all sections. Final preparations complete, Commander. The Council representatives will dock in 15 minutes, Lieutenant Kim said, her fingers dancing across the control panel. Excellent. Is the Welcome Committee assembled in Docking Bay 3? Yes, Commander. Director Shin just confirmed all diplomats are in position with the honor guard. Park allowed herself a small smile. After decades of searching the stars for intelligent life, humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council represented a historic milestone. The preliminary communications had gone well. The aliens seemed peaceful, if formal, and had expressed interest in establishing diplomatic relations with Earth. How are we feeling today, Lieutenant? Park asked, noticing Kim's tight expression. Cautiously optimistic, Commander. Though I can't help wondering why such an advanced civilization suddenly took interest in us now. Park nodded, a valid concern. But the technological exchange alone could advance humanity by centuries. The massive council vessel approached, dwarfing Artemis. Its sleek, crystalline surface reflected starlight in hypnotic patterns. Unlike the practical, modular design of human ships, the alien craft seemed almost grown rather than built. Quite beautiful, Park murmured. Council vessel requesting final approach clearance, Communications Officer Joe announced. Granted, guide them to Docking Bay 3. The station's crew watched in collective awe as the council ship maneuvered with impossible precision. No waste movement, no course corrections. Perfect the first time. Park felt a flutter of something between admiration and discomfort at the display of superior technology. Commander, Director Shin reports the welcome ceremony is beginning as planned, Joe said. Park nodded. Put it on the main screen. I want everyone to witness this moment. The screen flickered to life, showing the spacious docking bay. Two neat rows of Earth's finest diplomats stood flanking a red carpet that extended to the airlock. Director Shin, resplendent in formal diplomatic attire, stood at the front with his team. The Earth representatives raised their hands in a practiced greeting gesture, palms forward, fingers spread in a symbol of openness. The council delegation emerged from their ship, tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin and multiple eye structures. Their movements were fluid, almost hypnotic. High Envoy Toll led the group, his elaborate ceremonial garments shifting colors with each step. For 3 heartbeats, everything proceeded according to plan. Then chaos erupted. The Council security forces moved with blinding speed. Energy weapons materialized in their hands, and the lead aliens dropped into defensive postures. What's happening? Park demanded, rising from her chair. Before anyone could respond, the main screen showed the Council representatives opening fire on the human delegation. Brilliant energy pulses cut through the surprised diplomats. Director Shin fell first, his body crumpling mid-greeting. They're attacking. Security teams respond. Park ordered, horror giving way to training. Station alarms blared as the Artemis security teams rushed to the docking bay, but they were hopelessly outmatched against the advanced Council weapons. Commander, we have hull breach warnings in sections adjacent to Docking Bay 3. Operations Manager Ryu reported, his voice tight. They're not just attacking our people. They are targeting the station itself. Park's mind raced through options. Artemis was a research and diplomatic station. Its defensive capabilities were minimal, designed for meteor deflection, not warfare. Emergency bulkheads engaged, Kim reported, but they're cutting through them faster than we can seal sections. Evacuate all personnel from sectors 6 through 8, Park ordered. Initiate emergency distress calls to Earth. The station shuddered violently, throwing several crew members from their stations. Direct hit on our central power core, Ryu reported. We're on auxiliary systems now. The main screen showed Council forces methodically advancing through the station, cutting down anyone in their path. Life support failing in Section 7. Kim's voice broke as she reported. "Commander, we have 32 researchers trapped there." Park watched in helpless horror as the life signs from Section 7 flatlined one by one on the monitoring system. 32 lives snuffed out in moments. Researchers, scientists, people she knew. Gone. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Kim reported, her voice remarkably steady despite the chaos surrounding them. Park straightened her uniform and cleared her throat. On screen, the alien diplomat, High Envoy Tull, appeared. His multiple eyes blinked in sequence, facial appendages moving in what Park recognized from briefings as a gesture of formal regret. "Commander Park of Earth Vessel Artemis, I must extend deepest regrets for this most unfortunate cultural misinterpretation," he explained in perfectly translated English. "Your greeting posture was identical to the death threat display of the Vorn hegemony, a hostile species from our past. Our security protocols activated automatically." Park stared in disbelief. "Your security protocols? You've killed dozens of unarmed people." "A regrettable error," Tull continued smoothly. "The Council will offer appropriate compensation for the damage and loss of life. We have ceased hostilities and request medical teams be allowed to assist your wounded." "Get off my station," Park said, her voice deadly quiet. "Leave Earth space immediately." "Commander, I understand your emotional response, but the Council extends formal apologies and you will leave now, or I will overload our reactors and take your ship with us." The alien's appendages fluttered in what might have been surprise. "That would be unwise, Commander. Test me." After a long moment, Tull inclined his head. "We shall withdraw to allow emotions to settle. The Council will contact Earth directly to arrange formal reparations. We look forward to welcoming humanity into the galactic community despite this setback." The transmission ended. 3 days later, representatives from every Earth nation gathered in Geneva. The images from Artemis had been broadcast worldwide. The unprovoked attack, the casual explanation, the condescending offer of reparations. Director Lee of Global Defense addressed the emergency session, his voice carrying to billions watching worldwide. "They expect us to believe that an advanced spacefaring civilization capable of translating our languages, studying our customs, and monitoring our communications for decades mistook a welcome ceremony for a threat. We will not be deceived so easily." The United Earth Coalition voted unanimously to reject the Council's formal apology and offers of technology and knowledge. In research centers across Earth, engineers began the delicate process of dismantling the few pieces of alien technology recovered from the damaged station. Every circuit, every component revealed secrets humanity had never imagined. In a secured underground facility, Commander Park, one of the few Artemis survivors, watched as scientists reverse-engineered fragments of Council weapons. "How long?" she asked the lead engineer. "Years, maybe decades to understand it all," he answered honestly. "But we've already made breakthroughs in energy weapons, shield technology, and propulsion systems." Park nodded, thinking of her lost crew members. "Make it count. They thought we'd beg for their scraps after they killed our people. They thought wrong. Humanity would forge its own path to the stars, not as humble supplicants to the Galactic Council, but as architects of their own destiny. And they would remember. 5 years had passed since the Artemis incident. The solar system looked nothing like it once did. Where once a handful of research stations and small colonies dotted the planets and moons, now massive shipyards orbited Earth and Mars. Mining operations carved deep into the asteroid belt. Research stations hovered near the sun, capturing its energy. Military bases sat hidden within the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Captain Wu stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest orbital shipyard, watching as workers finished the outer hull of humanity's newest warship. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked Director Yoon, joining Wu at the window. The massive vessel gleamed in the sunlight. Nearly 2 kilometers long, the UES Retribution represented humanity's greatest achievement in shipbuilding. It would be the flagship of Earth's growing defense fleet. 5 years ago, we couldn't have dreamed of building something like this, Wu said. You nodded. 5 years ago, we didn't know we needed to. After the Council's attack, humanity had united with singular purpose. Old national rivalries faded as Earth's governments pooled resources. The reverse-engineered alien technology accelerated human development by centuries. The test flight is scheduled for next week. Hume said, the new gravitational folding drive will be installed tomorrow. Wu smiled. I still can't believe we beat them at their own game. The breakthrough had come 2 years earlier when Dr. Moon realized the Council's dimensional tunneling approach to faster-than-light travel wasn't the only solution. His team developed a completely different approach, gravitational folding, which bent space itself rather than punching through dimensions. It was less elegant but more flexible than the Council's approach, and crucially, it was undetectable to their sensors, which only monitored for dimensional disturbances. On Mars, General Ba walked along the perimeter of Defense Grid 7. Red dust swirled around her boots as she inspected the newly installed weapon systems. Power output at 100%, General, reported Colonel Park. All 7 grids are now operational and linked to the Central Command. Ba nodded with satisfaction. Mars bristled with weaponry hidden beneath the surface, ready to emerge at a moment's notice. Energy cannons, missile silos, and shield generators lay in wait beneath the red soil. How long would we last if the Council decided to attack? Ba asked. Current simulations suggest we could hold them off for at least 7 days without reinforcements, Park answered. Enough time for the fleet to return and engage. And with reinforcements? Park smiled. The simulations suggest we would win, General. Ba looked up at the dusty Martian sky. The moment they detect these installations, they'll know we're not interested in their protection racket. She told her staff gathered around her. No one invited them to our system. No one invited them to attack Artemis. And no one will invite them back. In a dark meeting room on the Council homeworld, senior officials gathered to discuss the human problem. Their development rate defies all historical precedent, reported Intelligence Director Varn. They've militarized their entire system in just 5 years. Scientist June, the Council's leading expert on human technology, displayed a hologram of Earth's new propulsion system. Their FTL mechanics violate conventional principles, June explained to the Technology Assessment Committee. They're using gravitational folding rather than dimensional tunneling. It's crude but effective, and completely outside our regulatory framework. What does that mean in practical terms? Asked High Counselor Mez. It means we can't track their ships, June admitted. Our detection systems are calibrated for dimensional disturbances. Their method creates none. They could be anywhere, and we wouldn't know. Uncomfortable silence filled the room. Have we had any diplomatic contact? Mez asked. None, Intelligence Director Varn replied. They've rejected 17 attempts at communication. Their system is sealed. No alien vessels permitted entry on penalty of destruction. They can't possibly believe they can stand against the Council, Mez said. We represent over 800 spacefaring civilizations. Perhaps, said June quietly, but none of those civilizations developed as quickly as humans have after first contact. None responded to diplomatic overtures with such determination. Beyond the edge of the solar system, Captain Han guided his stealth vessel through the rings of a gas giant in the Proxima Centauri system. The ship, matte black and running silent, was invisible to conventional sensors. Final approach to deployment zone, reported his navigator, Lieutenant Jin. Han nodded. Begin colony pod deployment sequence. Deep in the cargo hold of his ship, 5 massive colony pods waited, each containing the seeds of a human settlement. Prefabricated habitats, power systems, hydroponic farms, and 300 colonists in cryosleep filled each pod. Deployment zone secure, Jin confirmed. No Council activity detected in this system. Deploy pods 1 through 5, Han ordered. The massive pods silently detached from the ship, descending toward the habitable moon of the gas giant. Within days, Outpost Horizon would begin operations, the first human colony beyond Sol. "Do you think the Council suspects anything?" Jin asked as they watched the pods disappear into the moon's atmosphere. "No," Han replied confidently. "Their arrogance blinds them. They believe we're hiding in our system, licking our wounds and building defenses. They never consider we might be expanding." His ship wasn't alone. 20 other stealth vessels were currently seeding human colonies across nearby star systems, each carefully selected to provide resources, strategic value, or both. "Set course for Ta City," Han ordered. "We have 3 more colony drops to complete this month." Back on Earth, President Kang addressed the United Earth Council in their underground headquarters beneath Geneva. "5 years ago, we faced a choice," she said to the assembled representatives. "Bow to the council that had killed our people, or forge our own path. We chose independence." Holographic displays showed humanity's expansion, the fortified solar system, the new colonies taking root in nearby stars, the growing fleet of warships and stealth vessels. "The council believes we are isolationists," Kang continued. "They believe we have turned inward in fear. This misunderstanding serves our purposes for now." She gestured, and the hologram expanded to show dozens of star systems. "Our 5-year plan is complete. Our 10-year plan begins today. By the time the Council realizes the extent of human expansion, it will be too late for them to stop us without significant cost." The representatives nodded in approval. "We do not seek war," Kang concluded, "but neither will we accept the Council's version of peace, where they may kill our people and call it a cultural misunderstanding. We will be ready for whatever comes next. Humanity will never again be at the mercy of those who consider us lesser beings." As she spoke, Captain Han's ship accelerated away from Proxima Centauri, leaving behind the seeds of humanity's growing interstellar presence. The Council remained completely unaware of what was coming. The Lithar mining operation buzzed with activity in the asteroid belt of HD 40,307 grams. Supervisor Krull checked production figures on his tablet with satisfaction. Their extraction of rare minerals had exceeded quotas for the 3rd cycle running. The Council would be pleased. "Another rich seam in Sector 12, his assistant reported. "This unauthorized system is proving quite profitable." Krell's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, indicating pleasure. The Lithar had been council members for only 80 years, relatively new by galactic standards. Proving their worth through successful resource acquisition would elevate their standing. "Has there been any sign of human activity?" Krell asked casually. His security chief made a dismissive gesture with his middle lens. "None. Our scouts report their ships remain within their home system. They continue to hide behind their defenses." "Good. The Council intelligence reports suggest they are primitive and fearful after our first contact incident. They clearly understand their place in the galactic order." The operation had been running for nearly 3 months now. 50 extraction ships worked the asteroid belt, pulling valuable materials from the rocks and processing them in the central facility, a massive structure carved into the largest asteroid in the belt. None of the Lithar noticed the slight gravitational distortion forming at the edge of their sensor range. Admiral Song stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's most advanced warship. 5 other battlecruisers maintained position in perfect formation behind his flagship. Their matte black hulls absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Jun said from her station. "Weapon systems charge, gravitational shields at maximum." Song nodded, his face expressionless. For 7 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. After the Artemis massacre, Earth's governments had united with a single purpose. Never again would humans be vulnerable. "Begin recording," Song ordered. "Broadcast on all standard council frequencies once the operation commences." "Yes, Admiral. Broadcasting systems ready." Song studied the tactical display. The alien mining operation appeared as a cluster of red dots against the blue background of the asteroid field. 50 ships and 1 central facility, approximately 700 alien life forms. He felt no joy in what was about to happen, but neither did he feel hesitation. The Council had to learn that humanity would not tolerate incursions into their claimed territories. HG 40,307 grams had been colonized by Earth 2 years earlier, its human presence deliberately kept small and hidden to avoid detection. "The Lithar have detected us," reported the sensor officer. "They're powering up defensive systems." "Too late," Song said softly. "Execute Operation Lighthouse." The 6 human warships moved with perfect coordination, their newly developed quantum cascade weapons charging with a soft blue glow. On the Lithar Command Center, alarms blared as sensor operators frantically reported the sudden appearance of unknown vessels. "Impossible," Krell shouted. "Where did they come from? Contact Council Defense Fleet immediately." "Sir, the unknown vessels are transmitting on all frequencies," his communications officer reported with growing panic. It's humans." Before Krell could process this information, the world turned bright blue. The quantum cascade effect began at the molecular level, disrupting atomic bonds and converting matter into energy in a chain reaction. From the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Song watched as the central facility simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris. The massive structure and everything in it transformed into energy that dissipated harmlessly into space. The 50 mining ships suffered the same fate, vanishing one by one as the human fleet systematically erased them from existence. "All targets neutralized," reported Commander June. "No survivors, no debris." Song nodded once. "Message sent," he said quietly. The entire operation had taken less than 2 minutes. "Broadcast complete, Admiral," the communications officer confirmed. "The demonstration has been transmitted across all Council frequencies, including their military and civilian networks." Song stood and straightened his uniform. "Recall all ships. Return to Outpost Horizon." As the human fleet disappeared using their untraceable FTL technology, they left behind nothing but empty space where a mining operation had once existed. The only evidence of what happened was the video now spreading across Council networks. Across the galaxy, Council species watched the footage in stunned silence. The demonstration had been deliberately transmitted on all standard frequencies. The message attached was simple. HD 40,307 grams is sovereign human territory. All unauthorized vessels will be considered hostile and destroyed. This is your only warning. In the Grand Council chamber on the capital world, representatives from 800 species gathered in emergency session. The massive circular hall buzzed with frightened conversations as the recording played for the 3rd time on the central holographic display. High Councilor Mez called for order, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "We must respond to this unprovoked attack on Council citizens." Representative Du of the Merchant Guild rose to speak, her slender form commanding attention despite her species' small stature. The chamber quieted to hear her words, as the Merchant Guild controlled much of the Council's economy. "Unprovoked, Councilor," Du asked with dangerous calm. "The Lithar were operating in a system Earth had claimed. We have known of this claim for over a year." "A claim we did not recognize," Mez countered. "No species can claim territory without Council approval." Du's skin shifted to a deeper blue, a sign of exasperation in her species. "For millennia, we've assumed new species would gratefully accept our dominion. Humanity has proven this assumption dangerous." Murmurs spread through the chamber as Du continued. "Let us speak plainly. We attacked their station 7 years ago. We killed their people. We offered condescending apologies and expected submission. They responded by building weapons that can erase matter itself from existence." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. "Our intelligence suggested they were hiding in their home system," said Defense Minister Caro. "How did they develop such technology so quickly? How did they establish presence in distant systems without our knowledge?" An uncomfortable silence followed. No one had answers. "More importantly," Du added, "what else have they developed that we don't know about? How many systems have they claimed that we don't know about? The demonstration was precise, clean, and overwhelming. They could have destroyed a council world with this technology. Are you suggesting we capitulate to these primitives? Mez demanded. I am suggesting we recognize reality, Du replied evenly. Our standard approach has failed. The humans reject our dominion. They have demonstrated capabilities we cannot counter at present, and they have deliberately shown restraint. They could have attacked council territories, but chose only to defend what they consider theirs. The defense minister nodded reluctantly. Analysis of the weapon they used suggests it's beyond our current defensive capabilities. We have nothing that could stop it. High Counselor Mez sank back into his chair, his usual confidence shaken. What do you propose, Representative Du? We acknowledge their territorial claims. We establish diplomatic channels on their terms, not ours. And we learn more about them before making any further moves, Du said. Above all, we must understand why they are so different from every other species we have encountered. As the council debated far into the night, one fact became increasingly clear. For the first time in 10 million years, the Galactic Council faced a species that refused to fall into line. A species with both the will and the means to chart its own course among the stars, and they had no idea how to handle it. The Galactic Council defense grid represented the pinnacle of security technology. 3 overlapping shield layers surrounded the capital planet of Taurus Prime. Automated defense platforms orbited at strategic intervals. Sensor arrays extended outward for light years, detecting any approaching vessel long before it could pose a threat. For 10 million years, no unauthorized ship had ever reached the sacred atmosphere of the Council homeworld. Until today. The human diplomatic vessel materialized directly above the planet's capital city, bypassing all defensive grids as if they didn't exist. The massive black ship, shaped like an arrowhead and stretching nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern, hovered silently over the council spire. The planet's defense minister stared at his control panel in disbelief. Alarms blared as automated systems detected the massive vessel, after it had already breached all defenses. Impossible, he whispered, his 6 appendages trembling. They just appeared. On the streets below, citizens of various species looked skyward at the ominous shape blocking the sun. Panic spread quickly. Security forces mobilized, though everyone understood the futility of their response. If the humans had wanted to attack, the planet would already be lost. Inside the council spire, representatives from 800 species gathered in emergency session. The great chamber, normally organized and procedural, buzzed with frightened whispers. How did they penetrate our defenses? Demanded one representative. They've made no hostile moves yet, noted another. High Counselor Mez attempted to maintain order. We must present a united front. The humans have requested this meeting. Let us hear what they have to say before. He fell silent as the massive doors to the chamber swung open. Ambassador Choi entered flanked by 4 human guards in sleek black armor. She wore a simple white diplomatic uniform without adornment or rank insignia. Her posture was straight, her walk unhurried but purposeful. Unlike the council representatives who favored elaborate dress to signify their importance, the human delegation's simplicity made them stand out even more. The room fell silent as she approached the speaker's podium. Per protocol, species addressing the council would request permission to speak, acknowledge the council's authority, and express gratitude for being heard. Ambassador Choi did none of these things. I am Ambassador Choi of the United Earth Alliance, she stated, her voice clear and amplified throughout the chamber. We are not here to join you, she continued, her expression neutral as she addressed the assembled representatives. We are here to inform you of the conditions under which we will tolerate your existence alongside ours. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the chamber. No species had ever addressed the council this way in its 10-million-year history. Preposterous, shouted one representative, rising from his seat. The council does not accept conditions from newcomers. Choi's gaze shifted to the speaker, her expression unchanged. The mining operation at HD 40,000, 307 grams no longer exists. We can demonstrate similar capabilities here if necessary. The chamber fell silent again. Let us be clear, Choi continued. 7 years ago, your representatives attacked our people without provocation and killed 32 of our citizens. You expected us to bow our heads, accept your apology, and join your hierarchy as a subject species. We chose a different path. She activated a holographic display showing the region of space around Earth, then expanding outward. In the 7 years since your attack, humanity has claimed 23 star systems. We have established colonies on 42 worlds. We have developed technologies your scientists believed impossible. And we have done all this while you believed we were cowering in our home system. The display expanded further, highlighting systems throughout Council space. We have mapped your territories, studied your defenses, and identified your weaknesses. Had we chosen war, this meeting would not be happening. High Counselor Mez found his voice. What do you want from us, Ambassador? Recognition and respect, Choi replied simply. Not as subjects, but as equals. She outlined humanity's non-negotiable terms. Exclusive development rights to 17 unclaimed star systems, unrestricted passage through all Council territories, and formal acknowledgement of Earth's sovereignty. Furthermore, she continued, any aggression against human interests will be met with immediate and disproportionate response. The incident at HD 40,307 grams should make our capabilities clear. Defense Minister Kuro rose to speak. These demands are unprecedented. No single species has ever been granted such autonomy within Council space. We are not asking for permission, Choi replied evenly. We are informing you of what will happen. Your choice is whether it happens peacefully or not. As the Council representatives argued among themselves, Counselor Sun of the Strategic Affairs Committee leaned toward his colleagues. Our intelligence suggests they've already formed alliances with the Drift Nomads and the Silicon Consciousness, he whispered urgently. If we refuse, we may face more than just humans. The revelation sent shockwaves through the inner circle. The Drift Nomads were ancient spacefaring nomads who had rejected Council authority millennia ago, surviving on the fringes of civilized space. The Silicon Consciousness was a machine intelligence the Council had quarantined centuries ago, fearing its potential growth. How did they even contact these groups? Whispered a minister. The nomads avoid all contact with Council races, and the consciousness is behind our containment fields. Apparently, Sun replied grimly, the humans found ways around our obstacles, just as they found ways around our defenses today. High Counselor Mez called for a recess, inviting Ambassador Choi to wait in the diplomatic antechamber while the Council deliberated. Once alone, the senior Council members gathered in the secure inner chamber. We cannot allow this precedent, insisted Minister Caro. If we give humans special status, other species will demand the same. And if we refuse, countered Representative Tu, they bypassed our best defenses as easily as walking through an open door. Their weapon technology demonstrated at HD 40,307 grams exceeds our defensive capabilities. Perhaps a compromise, began another minister. They explicitly stated these terms are non-negotiable, Sun reminded them, and consider the alliances they formed. The Drift Nomads have technologies even we don't understand. The Silicon Consciousness could infiltrate our networks if released from containment. How did this happen? Mez asked, his voice showing rare vulnerability. How did we so badly misjudge this species? Du's expression hardened. We assumed they were like all the others, that they would be grateful for our attention and eager to join our hierarchy. We attacked their people and expected submission. Instead, they built in silence, expanded in secret, and now hold more power than we anticipated. We could mobilize the entire Council fleet, suggested Karo. And attack what targets? Sun countered. We don't know the extent of their colonization. We don't know where their fleets are positioned. We don't know their full capabilities. If we launch a failed attack, It would end the Council's authority forever. After hours of debate, High Counselor Mez returned to the Great Chamber where Ambassador Choi waited patiently. The Council has deliberated on your proposal, Mez began carefully. While unprecedented, we recognize the unique situation that has developed between our civilizations. We are prepared to acknowledge human sovereignty and territorial claims. Choi nodded once. A wise decision, Counselor. However, Mez continued, attempting to maintain some semblance of authority. We request modifications to the unrestricted passage clause. Certain council worlds have religious or cultural reasons to limit visitors. Denied, Choi replied without hesitation. We will respect local customs when visiting, but we will not accept restrictions on our movement. The Council has proven it cannot be trusted with such authority over humans. The statement hung in the air, a reminder of how this situation began 7 years ago with the attack on Artemis Station. After another moment of tension, Mez nodded in defeat. Very well. The terms are accepted as presented. Excellent, said Choi, producing a data tablet. The formal agreement is prepared for your authorization. Once signed, our ship will withdraw from your capital, and normal diplomatic channels will be established. As Mez pressed his appendage to the tablet, finalizing the agreement, he could not help but ask one question. Why did you wait 7 years to approach us, Ambassador? Why build in secret when we could have resolved this situation earlier? Choi's expression softened slightly for the first time. After you killed our people, we needed to ensure we could negotiate from a position of strength, not weakness. The Council understands power. Now you understand ours. With the agreement signed, Ambassador Choi and her guards returned to their ship. The massive vessel rose silently into the atmosphere and vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. In the council chamber, the representatives of 800 species sat in stunned silence, coming to terms with a new reality. For the first time in memory, the Galactic Council was not the supreme authority among the stars. The Treaty of New Geneva sat displayed in the Grand Hall of Earth's United Parliament. Its crystalline frame caught the light, creating rainbows across the polished floor. 8 years had passed since the Artemis attack, and humanity had achieved what no species had managed in 10 million years: recognition as equals by the Galactic Council. High Counselor Min had signed the document with visible reluctance, his multiple appendages trembling slightly as he pressed his official seal into the living document. The Council representatives had expected gloating or triumph from the humans. Instead, they received only professional courtesy, perhaps more unsettling than any victory celebration would have been. President Kang addressed the assembled diplomats at the ceremony. Today marks not an ending but a beginning. Not victory, but possibility. What the Council failed to understand was that humanity had never wanted conquest. They had simply refused to be conquered. 2 months after the treaty signing, the Hadrax representatives arrived on Earth. The insectoid species had been council members for over 50,000 years, yet they approached humanity cautiously, almost secretly. Our delegation must speak with your leadership immediately, chittered the lead diplomat, mandibles clicking with nervous energy. Away from council observation devices, in a secure chamber beneath Geneva, the Hadrax leader presented their case to Director Nam of Interstellar Relations. For millennia, we have watched the Council grow more controlling, more demanding of conformity, the Hadrax explained. Many species chafe under their rule but fear standing alone against their power. What you have done, it changes everything. The Hadrax were not alone. Within weeks, the aquatic Melosians and the crystalline Vox had also sent representatives, all with the same message. They wished to align with humanity rather than remain under Council dominance. Director Nam brought the requests to the United Earth Parliament. These species do not wish to become human subjects, Nam explained. They seek partnership, mutual defense, and cooperation without surrendering their sovereignty or cultural identity, something the Council has never offered. Parliament debated through 3 full sessions. Some feared creating a competing power bloc would lead to galactic war. Others saw opportunity for genuine alliance rather than the Council's forced hierarchy. In the end, they approved what would become known as the Terran Cooperative, an alliance structure that promised mutual defense without cultural assimilation. We have reshaped the political landscape of the galaxy not through conquest, but by simply refusing to bow, Director Nam told Parliament after the vote. Our stance has given voice to countless species who had accepted Council dominion as inevitable. The Council watched the development with growing alarm. 3 member species formally withdrawing to join the upstart humans was unprecedented. This cannot be tolerated, insisted Defense Minister Caro during an emergency session. We must demonstrate the consequences of abandoning the Council. High Councillor Min, wiser after the confrontation with humanity, shook his head. And how shall we do that, Minister? Our intelligence now confirms that humans have military installations in 37 systems, not the 23 they initially claimed. Their technology continues to advance in ways our scientists struggle to understand. It's not just military power, added Representative Du. They offer something we have never provided: respect for difference. The Council had always demanded new species adapt to Council norms, learn Council languages, adopt Council technologies, and accept Council authority. Humanity instead learned the languages of their allies, adapted their technologies to work with alien systems, and asked for cooperation rather than submission. 6 months after the formation of the Terran Cooperative, membership had grown to 12 species. Council authority began to fracture in unexpected ways. Minor species that had never dared question Council directives now pointed to the Cooperative as an alternative model. On the edges of Council space, the enigmatic drift nomads emerged from their self-imposed isolation. Their massive living ships, organisms grown over centuries to traverse the void, appeared above human colonies with offers of knowledge exchange, rather than their usual avoidance of contact. The Silicon Consciousness, an artificial intelligence collective the Council had quarantined centuries ago, established direct communication with human networks, sharing technological insights that accelerated human development even further. Ambassador Choi stood in the observation lounge of Earth's new embassy on the Council homeworld. The sleek building occupied prime real estate in the capital city, a concession the Council had never granted any other species. Through the crystal walls, she could see alien constellations painting patterns across the night sky. "Beautiful view," said a voice behind her. Choi turned to find Representative Du entering the lounge. The relationship between the Merchant Guild representative and humanity had grown into something approaching friendship, rare in interspecies diplomacy. "I never imagined standing here, looking at your stars," Choi admitted. "None of us imagined any of this," Du replied, her skin shifting to thoughtful blue tones. "The Council has existed for 10 million years. We thought our way was the only way." "There is always another way," Choi said. "That's what frightens them most," Du said quietly. "Not your weapons or your alliances, impressive as they are. It's the idea itself that terrifies them." Choi nodded. "They feared us because we were different," she reflected. "Now they fear us because we've shown them a different way is possible." "The old structures are crumbling," Du admitted. 3 more species have submitted withdrawal notices this cycle. The Cooperative grows while the Council shrinks. "We never wanted to destroy the Council," Choi said. "We simply refuse to be controlled by it." "What do you want, truly?" Du asked. "Now that you have power, what will humanity do with it?" Choi considered the question carefully. "We want what everyone wants, to determine our own destiny, to explore, to learn, to grow. The difference is, we want that for others as well, not just ourselves." As they spoke, across the galaxy, human and allied ships freely traversed the stars. Trade routes once monopolized by Council corporations now buzzed with independent merchants. Worlds once restricted now welcomed visitors from dozens of species. Knowledge once controlled now flowed freely between civilizations. The old order continued to fracture. Humanity had catalyzed a transformation that many species had secretly desired, but none had dared to initiate. 1 year after the Treaty of New Geneva, the Council formally proposed a restructuring of galactic governance, one that would incorporate elements of the cooperative model alongside traditional council structures. It was the first major reform in millions of years. In Earth's parliament, President Kang presented the proposal to the assembled representatives. "They are learning," she said. "Slowly, reluctantly, but learning nonetheless. The question before us now is, do we accept their outstretched hand?" Admiral Song, the architect of the HD 40,000, 307 grams demonstration, rose to speak. "We should remember the 32 souls lost on Artemis station. Their deaths should not be forgiven." "Not forgiven," agreed Ambassador Choi, "but perhaps transcended. Our goal was never revenge, but change, and change has come." As the Parliament debated, humanity stood at a crossroads. They had achieved what none thought possible, forcing the mighty Galactic Council to recognize them as equals. The path forward would determine whether the galaxy would continue to fracture into competing powers or forge a new paradigm of cooperation that respected the dignity of all spacefaring species. The journey that began with tragedy aboard Artemis station had led to transformation on a galactic scale. And it had all happened because when faced with submission, humanity had simply said no and had the strength to make that refusal matter. The end